Where do you see my alien? Where do you see my alien? Where do you see my alien? I'ma get beamed up.
What's up, bud?
Heyo.
How are we doing?
Dude, I'm all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're here, you're live, and you hate this light so much.
I was trying to sign language Spencer into turning this light off.
It's just so spooky now.
It's Spooktober, baby. There's just a very tall, bright lamp that's kind of like right to the right of Spencer's head when we record this show. And every time I think, boy, I'm going to have a headache if we do this whole episode like this.
You know who else is going to have a headache by the end of this episode?
You?
Well, maybe.
Tell me why.
Because you poured like 19 ounces of Hennessy into this cup over here.
You guys...
The studio tax Hennessy?
That sentence may have led you to believe that Spencer and I are frequent Hennessy consumers. But
first time in about a decade.
Yep. I was going to say my last time was in college.
I was hanging out with Crump the last time. Shout out to Crump.
Shout out to Crump.
I think we were about 22.
Also, not entirely surprised by that.
Nope. We were about 22 and at some shitty club downtown.
What Spencer means by studio tax is Spencer works in a studio in the Twin Cities, and sometimes famous people leave their assorted accoutrement after studio sessions.
The things that you can't fly with.
Yep. Yeah. And
just take them home.
And then that's studio tax for leaving your shit there and him having to clean up after you. So
shout out to Wizkid. Your Hennessy is delicious.
Dear Wizkid, thanks for your Hennessy. Spencer's next mixtape is going to be called Wizkid's Hennessy, and it's just... You got to get real drunk on like that half bottle of Hennessy that's left over. Well, you're well on your way, bud. I gave you a big one. And now you're going to be...
getting Deckard on this one.
2 Deckard. I think you should actually just make all the beats for your next mixtape drunk on that bottle of whiskey tonight.
All of them tonight. Mm-hmm. Got it.
And just put it out. And this is called Wizkid's Hennessy because I got drunk on Wizkid's Hennessy and made it happen.
Speaking of mixtapes and music. No, I'm going in a different direction than you think I'm going.
Is it?
Do you wait? Was it the Patreon or the regular episode last week where we talked about the robot band?
It was the Patreon, I think.
Ah, shit.
Why?
Okay. I have a hugely important update.
Okay, guys. So what?
We were gonna play Cam's voicemail anyway, right?
We were gonna play Cam's, and we were gonna play the special short one where we got asked a question.
Right. Okay. Let me pull up our voicemail then, because I have I got an update this morning about the topic of one of these voicemails.
We should say, hey, hi guys, nice to see you in the hundreds. We're back.
Oh yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Oh shit. We got a bear voicemail today too.
Hey. Well, we're starting off with voicemails today, guys.
It wasn't part of the plan, but here we are.
Here we are.
Maybe we should save them for the end when I can't actually read anymore.
No. Nope. Nope, we're doing them now.
Not going to be able to see my computer by the end of this episode.
That's perfect.
Okay, let's start with Cam. If I can find it.
If y'all remember, Cam's a listener in San Francisco who has left us a handful of voicemails. We sometimes play him on the paid show, patreon.com/whatifpodcast. You can get double the episodes every single week.
Dude, I'm so psyched to listen to this voicemail a second time.
Cam makes fun of our Minnesota accents. Oh my God. All right, here we go.
Patreon members, just stick with us. I promise it's worth it.
Hi, y'all. This is Cam out here in SF, and I was just listening to one of your back Patreons, and towards the end of the episode, y'all, I guess Spencer, y'all were talking about robots and whatnot. You're talking about that robot metal band. Well, I shit you not. I saw that motherfucker in his robot band, goddamn, probably 3, 4 years ago. Dude. Over here in SF at the Parkside.
Using goddamn as like just like a pause word in anything is goddamn must have been 6 years ago. This is fucking my favorite shit ever. Shout out to you, Cam. Carry on.
I didn't see the video you posted, and I've never seen any video, but I've seen this shit in real life. It's like a fucking Chuck E. Cheese band from hell in your dreams. And there's one dude that he runs he does everything programmed, and he sings and shit. And his whole band does all this and that. And there's one fucking huge ass teddy bear looking motherfucker that looks like he ate your soul. Now, the kicker, this motherfucker, I think he's literally insane.
I've heard this twice and it's so good.
Like, probably halfway through the show, he has him play like an interlude, his band or whatever, and he gets off the fucking stage. He runs around. It's a small venue. He finds a volunteer, right? I don't think this volunteer knows what he's getting himself into. So he gets a volunteer, and then he goes back behind the stage, and he literally pulls out a, like, rocking horse, like, bicycle, tricycle thing that he turns into a unicorn. Well, he attached the horn to this motherfucker. He's got a foot-long pink dildo attached to the end of this horse, right? And then the volunteer...
We're going here, guys.
It gets on the goddamn thing, and then the lead singer of the band, what he does, he goes, and this is a real small venue, so he splits the Red Sea of the attendees, right?
Phenomenal biblical metaphor to explain this.
And then he goes down on one end of the alley, and he bends over and yells between his legs something about full steam ahead or whatever, and he has this volunteer. He gets this volunteer to literally ride a little toy bicycle dildo unicorn straight into his butt. He had clothes on, but the motherfucker's crazy. I don't know. I hope you can find video of that particular thing at one of his live shows. And hell, I don't remember the name of the band either. I kind of got invited through one of my fringe, acquaintances, friends, but it was a hell of a show.
Yeah, it sounds like
apparently, I don't know. He likes himself some unicorn dildo action, I guess. All right, now.
I'm getting digging on this one.
So I feel like we should have maybe done a small sweary boys disclaimer at the beginning of that voicemail, but
it's actually,
whatever.
It's relatively clean other than the content. He didn't cuss any more than we do. He was just talking about things going up people's butts.
Which we've also
that's pretty standard.
All right, never mind.
We've been doing this for 2 years. If that's shocking to you, then I'm sorry.
If that's shocking to you, welcome to your first episode of the show.
So, thanks to Matt, I have some more information about this band.
Thank you, Matt.
I'm pretty sure that this is the same band that Cam is referencing.
What avenue did Matt provide us more information about said band?
He sent us a tweet this morning, and then I went down a bit of a Google rabbit hole. The band is called Captured by Robots.
Because of course it is.
Would you like to hear part of one of their songs?
Oh boy, so wait, hang on, because we did talk about this on a paid episode like a while ago. This is that band?
Correct.
This is okay, so we should give people, if you don't have the disclaimer, obviously Cam explained it to you. What? And that's as much as we can legally play that song.
So it's a human singer.
Yep.
With a robot drummer, and a robot guitarist and bassist. 2 robots, one plays drums, one plays guitar and bass.
I got to be honest with you. It sounds so. I'll be honest with you guys. If it's not obvious at this point, I'm not a huge death metal fan as a person. However, that sounds better than I would have imagined it sounding.
Well,
like more put together than I would have imagined it sounding.
That's great news, Ryan. What are you doing 2 weeks from now?
Oh, God.
October 19th specifically.
Oh, God.
Because they're playing at the Entry, and I may have bought 2 tickets today.
Oh, my God. Oh, fuck.
We have to go, right?
I know we have to go. Oh, Jesus.
Also, like, unofficial podcast meetup / official, because I just said it on the show.
Yeah, I guess if you guys want to go see Captured by Robots at the 7th Street Entry in Minneapolis on October 19th.
We'll be there.
What day of the week is that?
It's a Friday.
All right.
Yeah, it's the right night of the week to see a robot death metal band.
Ooh, I might be out of town.
Dicks! Why?
I'm...
Cancel it. It's not that important. Whatever it is. It can't be that important.
My family rented a cabin up north.
Meet them late Friday night. Show starts at 8. You could be there by midnight. You have the whole weekend.
I think we might have to have unofficial podcast correspondent Dan Whalen join.
Well, that's fine.
And document as well.
I mean, I'm going. I'm committed. I spent $24 already.
I'm in it to win it with my $24. Pot committed.
Yeah, dog. Gotta see that through.
Wow. Well, do you think there's going to be any tricycles involved?
I know not to volunteer for anything now.
You fucking A.
Yes,
Yep.
literally.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. God damn, I'm dumb. I didn't even think about that coming out of my face. That sounds like that would have been a good joke, and yet it's just me being dumb instead.
Because Ryan still says fucking A in actual conversation.
Fucking A, crowbar. We got a couple more, right?
Pardon?
What?
Yes, we do. Did you want to go with the short one?
Let's go with the short one, and then we'll finish with a surprise from Bear.
Patreon members are going to hate us, but...
No.
Hi.
Hey.
My name's Harper.
Hi, Harper.
I'm 6, and
I'm not
my
6.
question is, what people had animal hair?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
You got to hang up, buddy.
Nope.
There we go.
No, don't hang up. Just hang out. Okay, so part of the reason...
Do we call CPS now or at the end of the episode?
No, I just we had to play that voicemail on the free show because I gotta know
which one of you motherfuckers.
Which one of you let your 6-year-old listen to us? Because I feel bad for being who I am because of this fact. And
I used to actually teach kindergartners, and I feel ashamed of of this situation.
Guys, we got to shut the podcast down. We have sullied a 6-year-old's mind.
All I've been doing is cussing about Hennessy for like 10 minutes.
Yep. Here's my hope.
Except for the part where we talked about putting things in your butt.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Hey, Harper, it's Ryan and Spencer here.
No. I'm not doing this.
No, I'm saying the parents can fast forward. You can't say fuck. I'm saying they can fast forward to this point.
And I do not support these irresponsible ass people letting their 6-year-old listen to our podcast. This is not in any way on us.
I just want to help, give that kid.
Don't reinforce it. That is a terrible decision that these people made.
Harper, we love you. There we go. That's all you got.
We'll timestamp it.
If people had animal fur, I'd look fucking sick. I'd have a coat. I'd have a mane.
You do though.
I do have a mane.
Yeah,
you're right.
We are animals, and we do have fur.
Speaking of animals, let's get one more from Bear before we dive into today.
Oh, transitions on transitions. Oh, okay. For a second, I thought that this was a 56-minute long voicemail.
Holy shit!
But he left us a voicemail 56 minutes ago.
Bear would have broke the system, bro.
Man, we've never screened the Bears.
Bear just controlled the 3-minute voicemail limit with his mind.
Hey, man. If anybody earned it,
it's Bear.
Yeah,
100%.
Hey, boys, this is Bear. I was listening to some of your backlog there, your back catalog. Listen to episode 37 about what if you remembered everything.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's episode 37 about hyperthymesia.
Yeah.
As opposed to amnesia, I guess.
Yep.
But those folks could remember everything that ever happened to them. I guess that'd have its advantages and disadvantages. And then I listened to episode 49 up there at time travel. What if you could time travel?
Mm-hmm.
And those two back-to-back were fun. You guys really got in a groove on those two because I could tell you guys were really interested in it. And I'll tell you what I like about you boys. One of the many things, bro. One of the many things I like about you is when you get your teeth into something you're really interested in, you guys get in a groove, and boy, you turn it over like a dog with a bone, like every facet of that thing. And you guys have a real critical mind about things, and
Bear,
and
you make my soul
it's funny
sing.
though, because then you slip into your bullshit, which is always funny. I think that's a crowd pleaser right there. When you're giving each other a hard time and kind of cutting yourselves on math is hard, science is hard. You guys are a lot smarter than you let on. But That's good shit, boys. You guys keep doing what you're doing. I really appreciate the call out, the shout out. I know thanks my brother and I sent up to you.
Hell yeah, we're using your coasters right now, Bear.
Wizkid's Hennessy is sitting on your Morning Boys It's Bear coaster as we speak.
Thank God that's a real thing.
We really appreciate your podcast, and we wanted you to know, so he and I arranged to send that stuff up to you, and I'll make it up to Minneapolis before it's over with, that's for sure. I got to see you boys. You're good people, and I like what you do, and I hope they're taking care of you on the Patreon. I'm having a hell of a time with my damn debit card, so I'm in and out of the...
Okay. All
right.
We'll stop there.
Well,
but Bear, we love you.
You are the truest OG, and we appreciate you and your brother, and we love using our coasters, and we love our purple alien buddy, and fuck yeah, we love you.
Hey, Morning Boys, this is Bear.
Oh yeah, we got that as a sounder now, y'all. What's up?
Also, I'm gonna have to pull a few from this voicemail.
Yeah, because I don't know how long it's been since I laughed that hard, but Bear giving us compliments on how well we turn over like tough issues, and then just going, and then you slip into your bullshit. It's like the realest and funniest assessment of us as podcasters.
I'm absolutely pulling that's good shit, boys, from this voicemail.
Phenomenal. Oh man.
All right. I forgot to monitor the time, and we're counting bars, so we're 500 bars into this thing. Do you wanna get into the actual topic?
Bars on bars on bars. We're roughly 10 songs deep. You guys have listened to an album's worth of bars.
I think that's at 120 beats per minute, so we could probably do the math, but I'm not going to.
As Bear just called out,
math is hard.
and we're probably not going to try on it right now.
Did we come up with an actual title? We doing what if you faked your death?
What if you faked your own death?
Okay.
Now there are many folks that we could do this topic on, but we're gonna start with one that's near and dear to our hearts as musicians and as hip hop musicians. We're gonna start with the story of Tupac Shakur.
Like the whole story?
Well, not the whole story.
Because I did the math and we're at 17 minutes already.
So let's
Just kidding,
see.
I didn't do the math. I just clicked the button.
The biography of Tupac Shakur brought to you.
He was born in 1981.
No, but we're going to talk about mostly not the life, but mostly the death and thereafter and speculation thereafter of Tupac Shakur's death. But it's important to start with the death itself, I think.
Okay.
So
you want to go factually for now?
I think
let's
let's at least get to the point that Tupac is pronounced dead, and then we can go from there. How's that?
Sure.
So we start on the night of September 7th in 1996.
Also, I did that math wrong, boys. He was born in 1971, not 81. I'm not that dumb.
Tupac?
Except when I am. Yes.
Was born in 71? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he was, because he was 25 when he died. Isn't that crazy?
Biggie was only 24.
It just is like mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, I was thinking about that a week or two ago when Mac Miller died, and he was 26, 5, 6, and just my first thought was like, man, that's so fucking young, and like,
yeah,
that dude had a lot of things ahead of him, and then thinking that Pac was even younger and Biggie was even younger than him, and just like the impact that those dudes both have had and continue to have and will continue to have is insane.
For sure.
I hadn't done shit by the time I was 24.
No.
I still haven't done like a tenth of what Pac did it with his life, and I won't. It's crazy.
And the crazy thing to me too about just that age is like how prolific they were from a musical standpoint, like the amount of music they put out, well, after death.
Biggie had 2 records.
Before he died.
Well, right.
No, not 2.
I'm just saying, it wasn't like
3.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shit. I think it's 3.
Anyway,
the point being, for relatively young dudes, they put out a lot of music and have had a crazy cultural impact on hip hop and music and the world beyond. I mean, like, you can go to.
I mean, those guys both just moved into like straight up pop culture realm.
Right. You can go to bars in foreign countries today, and Juicy comes on, and people who don't speak English as their first language know every word. You know, it's crazy.
I heard Pac multiple times just walking around in LA last week, just like on the street and out of people's cars and whatever.
Dude's been dead for 20, or maybe not dead for 22 years, and people still just like rep him like he's you know there today almost. Anyway, so it's sorry, I got a frog in my throat.
Kill it with Hennessy.
Kill it with Hennessy. Drown that frog. Damn it. It's September 7th in 1996. We're in Las Vegas, Nevada, and the place is the MGM Grand. So Tupac is there with Suge Knight.
For a fucking Mike Tyson fight.
For a Mike Tyson fight versus Bruce Seldon, who is a person who I do not remember from the boxing world. I was never a huge boxing fan. I was lightly into boxing, but
he sounds like that's like a Little League coach's name.
Bruce Seldon, or like a real boring politician.
That guy loves Coors.
My name's Bruce Seldon.
I think that guy delivered my mail today.
Bruce Seldon. Okay, all right, I'm with it. So they're at the MGM Grand for a extremely high profile boxing match in Las Vegas. How into the details of the night do you want to go? Do you want to talk through the brawl in the lobby? Do you want to talk?
I think that part's important.
Okay. So as they're leaving the MGM Grand after the boxing match, basically a brawl ensues between Tupac, Suge Knight, their crew, and a group of Compton, California Crips. Most specifically, a gentleman named Orlando Anderson. Basically, they got jumped in the lobby.
Have you seen the security camera footage?
The surveillance video?
Yeah. It's more intense than I thought it would be from how it's usually described.
Yeah.
It's like, there was a scuffle and they were separated and they both moved on. Like, people were getting their faces kicked on the ground, and it was like an all-out brawl for a minute.
Yeah. And it involved more people than I think they they explain it as.
It's
like
probably 15 or 20 dudes.
Right. They make it seem like Tupac in Orlando got into an altercation, but when you actually see the surveillance footage, it's like
it's more than that.
It's like a fucking WWE like
Royal Rumble.
Yeah. So anyway,
this was on the way out, right? After the fight?
Correct.
Okay.
Fight's over. They're leaving the lobby of the Grand. People are departing to further locations. The plan is for Pac and Suge to go to a club in Vegas to hang, drink, party.
Do club things.
Do things you do as a 25-year-old rapper who has tens of millions of dollars. Suge and Pac get in the same car, a 96 black Beamer, in a group of people to head to. They were supposed to go to a place called Club 662, which was actually owned by Death Row Records, which was Suge Knight's record label.
That Pac was at the time signed to.
And was in the process of dissolving his signing to.
Was that actually happening, or I've only heard that was like speculated that he may be interested in doing so? Had that process actually started?
Essentially, he had recently just fired his lawyer, who was the one who drew up his original contract.
Okay.
And I don't know, I don't have an attributable quote, but sources said that the reason he fired that lawyer was because he felt like he had fucked him in his deal with Death Row. So his desire was to separate from Death Row so that he could actually have his own career and he could kind of establish himself.
So he hadn't officially started that process, but one could infer that he was going that way?
I think that's probably fair, yeah. I'm not entirely sure the depth of it. I don't know that we do know, but...
I think that's important for when we start speculating about who did what and why, though.
Absolutely it is. So... I don't have a time on when the brawl in the lobby happened.
I don't either, but I mean, probably 9 or 10 p.m. Like, when would a fight usually be done? 10 o'clock, probably?
10 o'clock-ish. Yeah. Even that seems a little early, but yes. What we mostly know next is that around 11:15, Pac and Suge are the only two people in a black Beamer driving through Las Vegas on their way to Club 662.
Suge is driving, correct?
Suge is driving. Pac is riding shotgun, so on the right side of the car. And at 11:15 p.m., they pull up to a stoplight. The story goes that Pac was potentially had the window down, was maybe like talking to a car next to them.
I've also heard that he was maybe not at the time, but at least part of the time hanging out the sunroof.
I've read that as well, but I've never seen that confirmed anywhere. And the only person
there are a lot of parts of this that are not confirmed anywhere.
Yeah, which is pretty wild. The only version of that I saw was the only person who would know that would be Suge, and I've never seen it attributed to Suge.
Yeah.
But as the story goes, they're at a stoplight. Pac has the window down and is potentially conversing with a car full of females. That's sort of
women
to their right, and up pulls a white Cadillac to the right side of the sedan. They're in a left turn lane. So Pac and Suge are in a left turn lane, and up the center lane comes this white Cadillac. And opens fire on Tupac and Suge in their car.
This is a different car than whoever he was talking to at the light, correct?
Sorry, yes. Behind, the Cadillac rolls up behind that car full of women.
Got it.
Idea being like they were maybe slightly ahead of the car, so they were able to pull up on the side and start shooting at the passenger side door.
Got it.
They unload, it was a semi-automatic pistol into the side of the car. Hitting Tupac 4 times, twice in the chest. Once, this says, I have a version that says once in his arm. I saw that the coroner's report actually says he got hit in the hand.
Yeah, I've seen both also.
Yeah. And once.
Either or, I guess.
Yeah. And once in the thigh. The once in the chest is most important because it entered the body sort of under his right armpit. Idea being he maybe was covering his face, so lifted his right arm and a shot went up under his armpit and pierced his right lung. The Suge Knight wasn't actually hit with a bullet at all. They say that he got hit with a bullet fragment.
Yes. Although in an interview I was listening to, Suge said he got hit. He said he took a 45 to the head, which seems like he got. If I heard that, my first thought was like he got shot in the head, and I think it means what you're saying, that a fragment that had like hit the car or something else first, like hit him in the head, but didn't penetrate his skull. Or I don't know what that actually means.
I saw 2 versions of it. One was a graze, so through the window and just grazed his head. Okay. The other version I saw was a bullet shattered on impact through the car wall and sprayed bullet fragments into the car, and that he got hit in the head with one of the fragments.
Because I don't think he even went to the hospital or anything, right?
He did go to the hospital.
He did?
He went to the same hospital that Pac went to.
Okay.
They were actually taken there together. I don't believe it was the same ambulance, but it was in 2 if it wasn't.
Okay. Because I was listening to an interview with Suge where he said that he never saw Pac after he got shot. So I don't know if he just means like after they got to the hospital, or if he means more literally like after the actual shooting.
It was after they left the hospital, because he was taken to be treated for whatever his graze was.
Okay. Suge Knight doesn't speak very precisely, it turns out. I was listening to a bunch of interviews with him, and he's all over the place, which is problematic for what we're going to talk about later.
Yeah. So the version of it I heard is that the first cop on the scene, a Las Vegas Police Department officer who was, I guess, in the area and just got the shots fired call, drove directly to the scene of the drive-by shooting. White Cadillac pulled away, by the way. Opened the passenger side door to check on Pac. Immediately asked him who shot you, and apparently Pac's final words to anyone, as far as we know, was "fuck you."
Whoa.
So didn't feel like saying much about that one way or the other to the officer.
I have not heard that before.
It's a version of it I heard doing research for this.
Huh.
I mean, snitches get stitches, man.
Where do we have a source for that?
It was in a video documentary that I watched that BuzzFeed did.
Okay.
I don't have like a direct.
We don't know where they're sourcing it though.
Well, they sourced it from the officer who was first at the scene, who
like directly, like they actually talked to him.
Not in that interview, but he is documented as saying this is what happened when he arrived on the scene at some point.
Okay.
I don't know where that specific firsthand documentation is. Pot goes to the hospital. So does Knight. Knight gets dismissed. They sedate Tupac, put him into a medically induced coma, basically because he's in such bad shape. This is obviously on the same night of the 7th of September. He's in ICU for 6 days and dies the afternoon of September 13th, 1996 at 4:03 p.m. The hospital says the cause of death was respiratory failure and pulmonary arrest.
I mean, sure. Like the cause of death is he got shot multiple times,
and
but
specifically in his lungs.
Yeah.
I read somewhere it was in the, because I read the coroner's report actually. The coroner's report, they say that when he was taken into the hospital, they removed 2 liters of blood from his lungs the night that he got taken in. So he was in pretty bad shape.
They've never arrested, much less tried anyone for this murder.
True.
But a lot of people think that Orlando Anderson is the most likely suspect. And he was brought in for questioning. I don't know how soon after, but pretty soon after, released without ever being charged with anything. And then he himself was killed about a year and a half later. So we can't really revisit that one too easily.
We can't. The LA Times did their own sort of investigation into this after Pac died.
Mm-hmm.
Largely, I think, because there was so little like official stuff that was going on that they just did a journalistic sort of approach to it. And I don't have all the backup data on the conclusions that they came to, but they publicized a version of their like findings throughout their sort of journalistic approach on the case itself. And like there were 3 main takeaways, all of which I found kind of interesting for different reasons. I'm going to read these verbatim. This is from a Times article from, I think it was like a year and a half later or something like that.
Wait, which New York Times?
LA Times.
LA Times?
Yep.
That makes more sense.
Generally in that area. The bullet points are this. Number 1, the shooting was carried out by a Compton gang called the Southside Crips to avenge the beating of one of its members by Shakur a few hours earlier.
That being Orlando Anderson?
That being Orlando Anderson.
Okay.
Orlando Anderson, the Crip whom Shakur had attacked, fired the fatal shots. Las Vegas police discounted Anderson as a suspect initially and interviewed him only once and briefly. He was later killed. And
how does that happen?
Which part?
How do you interview the guy that he got in a fight with 2 hours prior only briefly and then release him? How is he not obviously the primary suspect in this?
Completely agree.
Even like just from the start.
Completely agree. I actually thought the same thing. Like, that seems pretty open and shut if you can actually put it together, right? The only thing I can think of is they had what they considered to be an alibi for him. So if he said, I was here, and they got 3 or 4 other people to say, yeah, I was there and he was there with me, that was enough for them to just stop chasing it down.
And they didn't have anything else?
Yeah, they didn't have anything else
in
other
the moment,
than
at least.
The fight footage, right.
But then you don't continue, like you can release them and then still continue to pursue
totally
other evidence.
Totally.
And like, I don't know. I mean, how many people? There must have been multiple witnesses to this, right?
I mean, so that's an interesting one that I haven't ever been able to figure out.
You're on the strip immediately after a huge fight got done.
Right.
There's got to be people everywhere.
And the estimates were that, I don't know if they had, from what I read, it was one gun. It was either multiple clips or an extended mag, because they said something like 20 times was what they counted. Like 20 gunshots on the strip in Las Vegas is like, it's a lot. And where does a white Cadillac go after doing just like blowing down the street? Like,
and they could get out of there quickly without anyone seeing them, but Suge couldn't drive away while they were getting off 20 shots.
Right.
And while Suge wasn't getting hit.
Right.
All right. You guys have like the basics. I think let's just jump into like all the things that are weird about this.
Let me just read one more bullet point from this LA Times story, because I think it's
that's
interesting.
what we're doing.
No, it's all good. To your point, Anderson was later killed in an unrelated gang shooting. The other one that I thought was very strange about the LA Times thing, and we'll talk about this in exactly what you're saying right now, is they sussed that the murder weapon was supplied by New York rapper Notorious B.I.G., who they believe paid the Compton Crips somewhere in the realm of $1 million for the killing of Shakur.
What is that based on?
I don't know.
That is a wild thing to say without supporting evidence.
It's a big accusation. Absolutely. I completely agree.
They don't, there's no elaboration on that?
I just have the takeaways from it.
Biggie did it. Nothing to see.
Biggie was gunned down 6 months later in Los Angeles, for those doing the math. I'll find the exact like follow-up of that. But those were like their three main takeaways from their journalistic hunt. But yes, let's talk about all the weird things.
Okay.
And then let's talk about the weirder things.
Well, the first one we kind of already covered, but I have my own bullet point list of weird shit about this.
Go ahead.
First one being like, how do you not find that car?
Yes.
There should have been dozens of witnesses to this. It should be a relatively easily identified car. You're in an area that isn't the easiest to drive through, especially not quickly.
No.
Like getting out of there should have been a disaster, and a bunch of people should have seen it happen.
For sure. 100%.
So in the moment, how do you get away? And then to never have anyone find anything?
I was thinking about this today too. You know, I know we live in a day and age where we think about like traffic cams and surveillance cams and all that stuff. And like, yeah, it was 1996 or 1996, 97,
yeah, 96.
But you're in Vegas, like,
right?
Fucking, there's billions of dollars chilling in that city on any given night. There's cameras fucking everywhere.
Even in the 90s, for
sure.
Even
in the 90s, everywhere.
Absolutely. So this happened 2 hours after the fight got out.
Yep.
Like,
how many, there's got to be at least 100,000 people in addition to the normal Saturday night in Las Vegas.
Was it a Saturday? I don't know what day of the week it was.
I think it was a Saturday.
So it's a weekend in Vegas. There's already
It was a Tyson fight. It was for sure a Saturday, right?
Probably. It's a weekend in Vegas at 11 o'clock. On the strip. People are everywhere.
Right.
And then on top of that, so you got 60,000 people or whatever leaving a fight.
Right.
What? Not to mention every casino probably has cameras out front. I'm sure there were traffic cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yep.
That part alone seems impossible to me.
Yep.
Point 2. On the autopsy, the coroner listed Pac as being 6 feet tall and 215 pounds.
He was neither of those
things. Just by looking at him, you can tell that both of those are false.
Yeah, he was a smaller dude.
On his driver's license, he listed himself as 5'10", 168, which even that seems generous, honestly.
Yeah, but
based on photos.
But even if you're 5'10" and 168, if you're a coroner whose job is to measure people all day long, you're not going to get a dude's body weight and height wrong by 2 inches and 55 pounds.
It's almost 50 pounds. Like,
Oh, yeah, 45 pounds.
Yeah.
See, guys, math is hard.
It's still not 45, but you're getting closer.
Wait, what did you say? Never mind. Keep going.
But right, those are significant.
Many pounds, bro. God damn.
Those are significant differences.
Yes.
And like, if anything, with the height, I would think 5'10" is probably high. And considering he listed that himself, I mean, I'm speculating too, but like the dude for sure was not 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
And 168, I mean, Pac was constantly not wearing a shirt. If he was even 168, he was hiding it all below the waist.
Well, in some fucking strong muscle is what you meant to say.
He most certainly was not. I didn't say where. Dude had the strongest balls you've ever seen. But he for sure was not 215.
No.
Like there's not a chance that he ever weighed 215 in his life.
Not even a little bit.
So that's weird.
Yes.
Did you weigh him with all his clothes on and his pockets full, or like how do you account for 40 pounds difference? 2 inches in height, maybe, whatever. But like the dude died and gained 47 pounds.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
And then okay, point 2. Point 3, he was cremated after he died. Quickly, which whatever, there could be a lot of reasons for that.
Yeah, but they had an autopsy and a cremation accomplished within 24 hours of him being marked as deceased.
Also, like, if you know for a week that that's a likely outcome, maybe arrangements had been made already.
Yeah,
or
I guess that's true.
You've got an idea of what you're gonna do, at least if he passes away. I don't know.
Yes.
That part doesn't seem that weird to me. And I know like different cultures and religions have different ideas around like when those types of things are supposed to happen and whatever.
Yeah.
The dude who did the cremation. So after he died,
yep,
the only people who saw him apparently were his mom, Afeni Shakur, and the person who did the actual cremation.
Yep.
The person who did the actual cremation, and again, this is according to Suge Knight as far as I can source it.
Right.
Did the cremation and immediately retired and never spoke to anyone publicly again. Yeah,
I have a question about the Afeni Shakur thing, seeing him.
Yes.
Well, as far as I'm able to tell, Afeni Shakur saw Pac.
That being Tupac's mother.
Tupac's mother saw him in the mortuary to confirm it was him.
Well, she was with him at the hospital.
Well, right. But that's my question is why would they need a sign off that it was him
when she's been in the hospital with him for a week? She'd been in the
hospital with him for 6 days. It wasn't like he just like got wheeled in after a bus accident. They had to like identify his remains.
No, but maybe,
I don't know how that works. Maybe that's a legal thing you have to do is be like, we're going to mark this person dead. Is this that person? Yes. Okay, cool.
Well, or if in transportation from hospital to morgue,
you have to sign off on that.
You have to re-identify the person because people have different burial wishes, so on and so forth. Yeah, I would assume.
I guess maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to cremate the wrong person, obviously.
Well, yeah.
So that doesn't seem that weird to me.
I mean, you can. They're not going to care.
What?
The dead person. They're not going to care.
No, but if people show up for a funeral and there's not a person there, they're going to care.
Well, that's a good point. I just meant
matter.
I just meant when you're dead, you don't think things anymore.
Tupac didn't care.
Yeah.
Other people may have cared if you accidentally burned their loved one whose funeral they were planning to attend.
That's a much stranger open casket, isn't it?
Yes, that's not going to work.
Yep.
This is also the least kid-friendly episode we've ever done, just from top to bottom.
You think the unicorn dildo to begin and the gangster rap murder later took it over the top?
I think so.
All right. Hey, we got to start doing new shit. It's 100 episodes, guys.
We're a true crime podcast now. Fuck with us. We're out of ideas now. Kidding.
It's not true.
Along the lines of the hospital stay and all of that, he was in the hospital for 6 days and no one saw him other than his mother. Now, I get, like, he's super famous.
Yep.
He's in rough shape. There's an investigation going on. All of this.
There were death threats being made on his life.
Well,
what?
What a weird time to do that.
What do you mean?
You're gonna make death threats on a guy who's in a coma? That's fucked up.
Yeah,
just give him a minute.
No, but that actually happened. That
really,
the hospital took phone calls of people who were threatening to come, like, basically finish the job.
But like, so all of that makes sense to me. That obviously that's going to be a very secure hospital room. No family saw him. Nobody.
Suge didn't go back to see him.
No friends, no family for a week.
Right.
No one even there to like support his mom, who was apparently there with him alone for a week. Like,
right.
That doesn't make any sense.
Agreed.
And if she's not there, then he's just there by himself, I guess. And like, yeah, he's unconscious, but that seems, I don't know. That seems really odd to me.
I agree. I agree.
If any loved one is in the hospital for a week, you go say hi to them, or you go at least like support their family.
Yeah, you go check in on them.
Their immediate family who's dealing with it. You know,
right.
Like that's
right.
I don't know. Even with celebrities, I feel like that's odd. Last thing about his mom.
Yep.
I'd like to read a quote from his mother.
Oh.
In an interview that she did years after he had died. And she said, I'm going to condense this a little bit because there's some other stuff in between.
Okay.
Quote, I think Tupac was really tired of fighting, tired of being vilified, tired of being called things that he knew he was unable to be. I wish he was here every day, but I don't want him to be unhappy. He chose his life, and in the end, he chose to leave quietly. Two things about that stick out to me. First being, he chose to leave quietly, because I would think a drive-by is the opposite of choosing to leave.
Sure.
That doesn't seem at all like a choice to me. And then what does quietly mean in that? Like it was extremely public and loud and in the news everywhere. Like
right.
Nothing was quiet about this situation.
Right.
The second sort of more subtle part of that's weird to me is she says, I don't want him to be unhappy. Speaking in the present tense about him.
Yep.
Years after he had passed, which like maybe that's just a slip, or maybe, you know, she speaks about him as if he's still around because that's her son and whatever. But years later to still be talking about someone in the present tense seems strange.
I would agree with that as well.
Cool, thanks.
Well, I was like, I got another one for you, but I didn't want to break into your list yet.
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
I feel like I wanted to say this one because I feel like we're starting to build into what this is really all about right now. Like, yes, I think
I don't know what this is really all about, so let's go. Let's take it there.
So, Soledad O'Brien and Ice-T did a documentary about the death of Tupac Shakur that was shown on Fox in like, now I'm going to forget the year.
I don't remember.
I watched, I don't know, 15 minutes of it, 20 minutes of it. But basically it's like them doing a reopen and investigative questioning of people involved, etc.
Yeah, that's happened a few times, has it not?
Yeah, a few times for sure. They in the process of creating that documentary or show or whatever you want to call it, they actually interviewed Suge Knight from prison, because Suge has been basically in and out of prison for the last
now he's there for a few decades.
Now he's there until he dies.
Really? How old is he? He got sentenced like 27 or 28, didn't he?
And he's like, I mean,
probably 40 something.
If he gets, I think he's like early 50s. If he gets out, he's going to be like 90 or whatever. Yeah. He's basically going to rot in prison.
Still not how math works, but you're trying.
What?
I love you.
What?
50 plus 27 is not 90.
54 plus 27, 81 is what I was going on. And you round up. And,
you don't round up to 90 from 81, bro.
Whatever. Maybe you do.
Anyway, Ice-T has something to say about this.
No, Ice-T doesn't, but Suge does. They asked, this is the reason that I know that Suge went to the hospital that Pac went to, is because they asked him about what was your experience like the last time you saw Pac, like before you didn't see him again, what had happened. And Suge says, this is a quote. He says, I mean, when I left that hospital, me and Pac was laughing and joking. I don't see how someone can go from doing well to doing bad.
I don't understand that quote.
Okay.
He got shot. What does he mean doing well to doing bad?
Well,
if I get shot, I'm going to be doing pretty fucking bad, regardless of what I was doing prior.
I don't disagree with you, but I also...
I just literally don't understand what he means by that.
I think potentially what he's trying to say is he might not have been in as bad of shape as he was made out to be. As in, like...
After he got shot,
After he got shot.
How would Suge know, though?
What do you mean?
Well, it's not like they were hanging out together at the hospital.
I get the impression what
or
he's trying
on the way
to say.
To the hospital.
I get the impression of what he was trying to say is he got discharged the next day, and when he said peace to Pac leaving the hospital after getting discharged for being treated for his head wound or whatever, Pac was in like relatively good spirits and like not, you know,
like not in a coma.
Yes, maybe.
Okay. I have some Suge audio from a different interview.
Yeah.
Where he's also talking about the idea that Pac might not be dead.
So this gets back to the unreliability of Suge Knight that Spencer mentioned earlier. And it's actually one of the things that complicates this case so thoroughly is because he is the number one person who A, knew Pac best, B, was most present with Pac before, during, and after his death, and C, has had the most complicated and...
I mean, he's in jail right now for killing someone.
Yes. And he's had evolving versions of things.
So this is from an interview, I believe, in 2012.
Yep.
Where he's talking about, well, yeah, you'll get it. I don't need to explain it.
Now, Suge, there are a lot of people that think you were involved in the murder of Tupac Shakur. How does that make you feel? Talk about it.
You know, a lot of people say, well, God's gonna judge me. I got a 45-inch bullet in my head, into my skull by grabbing Tupac.
Real quick, he said a 45-inch bullet in his skull.
Sure did say that. Sure did say that very not true thing.
That's really what happened. The second part of it is this. People know what happened at the end of the day. You got an individual on there and said, okay, we did this shooting. You know, Puffy was there, Biggie was there. He was already paid for to kill Tupac. This how it happened. And they break everything down to the T. And I'm saying to myself, people say, well, damn, if this dude told the feds and everybody that he's a former rip out of Compton, and they killed Tupac, why didn't he go to jail for murder? Then maybe the question is that Pac really not dead. Pac somewhere else, and maybe they get over. Maybe it's like
you're gonna start a whole nother.
I mean, it's the truth if you really look at it.
Did you see Tupac dead?
Nobody's seen Tupac dead. The thing is this: the person who supposedly cremated Tupac, who his mother wanted done quickly, if he passed. So this guy got about $3 million personally for me, cash. And next thing I know, I never heard from the guy since again. He retired and left.
So there are a couple things I want to address about that interview.
Whoa.
I think, just to clarify, I think what he's talking about at the beginning is what you referenced earlier from the LA Times article of the idea of Biggie paying the Compton Crips to put a hit on Tupac.
Yes.
So I think he's speaking to that theory of, well, if Biggie paid these people money and we know who it was,
and Diddy was involved,
and all these people were around, and we have all this information, well, then why isn't the person who did it or the people who did it, why aren't they arrested? He then, and I think he's probably speaking about Orlando Anderson in that case.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's insinuating, like, he's saying, quote, like in air quotes, everyone knows what happened.
Right.
As in, like, this is the story that everybody tells.
Right.
But
and yet no one was arrested.
Right.
And then he follows that with, and that's because Pac wasn't actually killed. I I don't know, but if we're trusting any of what he said two interesting things to me. The first being, no one saw Tupac dead.
Yep.
That seems important. Obviously, if he died, someone must have seen him dead. I mean, at least one person. Right?
Sure.
The second part that I still don't understand is he says he personally paid the man who did the cremation $3 million in cash.
Right.
Why? Why are you paying? Is he saying that he was in on Pac faking his death? What is he? I don't understand what he's suggesting with that.
Yeah, I think that's the insinuation is I helped fund dollars.
He paid off the funeral home or whoever does that.
Yeah, because at the crematorium, they're the people that like sign off on the final death certificate or whatever. Like, yes, it's done. He's dead.
And the price for forging that was $3 million.
For forging that and saying you never have to work again.
And that would also
say he's dead.
That would explain why the dude retired, because he had $3 million.
Because he had $3 million in cash after his public career. Not public career, but I mean, became very public around this incident. And was like, peace, I'm fucking out of here. I don't want to have to deal with this shit anymore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've never heard that audio. That's pretty fucking fascinating.
Again, it comes back to like Suge is just not a trustworthy person.
No, he's not.
But I also don't understand what his motive would be here specifically to be perpetuating this. Yeah. Is it just because it puts him in the public eye and he can go do interviews about it? Or
I mean, if you listen to the interviewer, the very first question he asks him is, people think that you had something to do with Pac's death. What do you have to say to that?
Right, because that is one of the theories that Suge actually, because Pac was considering leaving death row and they had issues, whatever, that Suge actually put out a hit on Pac.
Yeah.
And that's also why Suge, even though 20 bullets hit the car, Suge was fine.
There's a bunch of other details about this that kind of put Suge in a bad light. One of which is it's said that Suge owed Pac death row money that hadn't been fully paid out to him, and that was also part of Pac's firing of that lawyer that they shared, was that there was like somewhere in the realm of $3 million in unpaid revenue from shows and album sales and things like that came through death row.
That was still owed to Pac.
That was still owed to Pac, and the theory goes that potentially Suge had maybe use that for something else, maybe kept that for himself, maybe whatever, and Pac was owed that money. And a really good way to get somebody to stop asking for $3 million is to not have them be around to ask for $3 million anymore. The other one that's pretty important about that puts Suge in a bad light is apparently Suge, I mean, you know, one of the things that's important to know about these dudes being millionaires many times over is they had drivers, they had bodyguards. A lot of photos you see of Pac. Pac's wearing a vest like everywhere he fucking goes.
Conveniently, none of those things happened that night.
None of those things happened that night. And the way this story also goes is that potentially Suge told the driver and the bodyguard to go with Pac's girlfriend in a separate vehicle in the convoy that they were on. And Suge said, I'll drive, you ride. Let's go together. Like they wanted to have a conversation of some kind. Right. But that makes it pretty convenient to be able to be in a certain spot at a certain time with a certain, you know, proximity. You know what side of the car Pac's going to be on, you know.
Right. You would have the ability to sort of stage some things.
Right. There's not going to be a security person who's going to pull a gun out and fire back at you, whatever.
Yeah, so you can get 20 shots off.
Right.
Yeah, since... Was it like 2 or 3 years prior that Pac got shot in New York?
Yeah, 92,
okay, so
94 maybe.
Maybe 3 or 4 years. I don't remember when that was. But yeah, he pretty much wore a vest like everywhere in public, right?
Live shows, everywhere.
So that part is weird. Also, I have a hard time believing that Suge Knight didn't carry a gun with him in the 90s.
Yeah.
Or Pac, or in that car at least.
The only thing I can think of is if you flew to Vegas from LA, it's not, well, I guess this was also pre 9/11 too, so.
Also, you don't think Suge Knight of all people could find a fucking gun in Las Vegas?
Also true. But all these things, I think, combined put Suge in a bad light. And then it would stand to reason in my head that Suge would have more of a motive to lie about whether or not Pac was still alive so that people don't actually attach him to his death. Not that he thinks he's going to get convicted of it, but more that just generally from like an aesthetics perspective, he can be looked at in a shinier light. Oh no, I helped Pac and he's living somewhere else. Not I orchestrated the hit on Pac because I owed him money.
But wouldn't a more believable version that would still also clear him be, the person that we all think did it? If he just came out and said like, yeah, I saw Orlando Anderson shoot him, wouldn't that also end it?
Yes,
Anderson is dead. You can't prosecute him.
Right.
Wouldn't that end the whole thing?
Yes and no, but I think you're also right that twofold. One, he's either contributing to the mystique or he is telling some version of the truth.
Yeah.
Now, Suge has motives that I think are like muddy, but there are other people who don't have the same motives. And one of them I find particularly fascinating.
Cool. Let's hit that, and then we're at like an hour-ish. So
okay. Do you remember the group Naughty by Nature?
I sure do.
Naughty by Nature. So one of the two rappers in Naughty by Nature is a gentleman named Treach.
Okay.
Treach, but I think it's pronounced Treach. So Treach was at the Underground Hip Hop Awards in 2010 being interviewed by a gentleman who, hang on, his name is too funny for me to not pull it up really quick.
I was like, you can just say he's being interviewed by a guy.
Nope.
Nardwar.
Nope. His name is the infamous Amadeus, but it's spelled DAIMPHAMUSAMADEUZ.
What's up with y'all?
The infamous Amadeus.
Okay. And he said what now?
Amadeus does about a 5-minute interview with Treach, asking him kind of a lot of questions about just like, why are you here? What about the awards? Whatever.
Explain your existence.
No, but at the very end, so the way they explain it, they say that as they were filming Treach on the red carpet, they, quote, put the interview camera down and forgot to turn it off.
Okay.
These guys were with some like, it's called It's a Go TV, IT''Z, a Go TV. The fact that you've never heard of that.
I fuck with these guys.
Yeah. Wait, do you know what this is, really?
No, but I like their naming conventions.
Yes. The fact that you've never heard of them, though, probably means that like they didn't turn into anything humongous and we're not maybe, a super duper legit media empire.
Why are you being
at
so
the time.
lazy, my boy? Come on, man.
So they get Treach to do a drop for their like video show, whatever, set the camera down, and Amadeus is asking Treach for a photo. He's like, yo, can we take a photo real quick? And he's like, yeah, cool. And they take a photo. He's like, whoa, was that video? And he was like, no, I'm just taking a photo. I just want to, the video's off. We just want to take a photo with you.
Classic. The old think you're taking a photo, take a video trick.
And Treach, it wasn't with his phone though. Like the camera is on the ground by their feet actually, so you can just see like one of their feet.
Okay.
But it's almost like you can tell that Treach was like, whoa, I thought we were done with the video stuff. Are we done or not?
Mm-hmm.
And Amadeus really quietly to him says, hey man, I just got to ask you a question. Like, is Pac still alive? And he kind of laughs. And like they kind of talk whatever, and then they take the photo, and then they're like, "Yeah, all right, cool. We'll go catch that later. We'll go do that." And then the last thing you hear Treach say as he walks away is, "Last time I saw him, he was in Cuba." And he says it real kind of offhanded and casually as he's like walking away. And the guys are like, haha, and they pull up the camera.
Wait, Jadakiss was there?
Haha.
Sorry if you don't listen to rap music and like our podcast. This probably sucks.
Nah, you're fine. This is see, we're a true crime podcast now, like we said. But it's very, very, very clear what he says. Last time I saw him, he was in Cuba.
I mean, that sounds like a great way to get people to watch your YouTube video.
But here's the thing. Tretch.
I know there's a link with Cuba that I guess we should probably talk about.
There's a link in Cuba, one. So, well.
Asada Shakur was there, right?
Asada Shakur was there, which is one. So that's Pac's
aunt?
I was going to say, is that what it is?
I think so. I think it's his mom's sister.
Okay. So Pac's aunt was already in Cuba hiding, I guess, from the U.S. government.
Yeah, she was like convicted of murder, right?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Yeah.
And there were also a handful of different statements.
Oh, not actual aunt. Friend of his mother / godmother.
Got it. That have placed Pac in Cuba, including a YouTube video. Now,
I saw a black guy in a bandana.
So that is unfortunately a lot of this. There is, however, a video that came out in 2004 that was Suge and from behind a man who looks suspiciously like Tupac on a beach talking to each other.
Okay.
And whoever filmed it, or I guess re-released it, saying Suge and Pac in Cuba in 2004. Now, a lot of these are bullshit. Like they're
right.
Like you said, they're people
because we're
going
to watch them.
Right. They have goatees and bandanas on their heads, and so it must be Pac.
For a second, I thought you were just roasting the people who make these videos and like,
oh,
we can't trust them. They have goatees.
These weirdos. No, they're pictures of black dudes and bandanas, like you're saying.
Right.
But this one is actually, you could tell it's Suge. It's very obviously Suge and a bald black dude wearing like a sleeveless cutoff with tattoos. Now, there's like speculation of like, do we know it's Cuba? Do we know when the video was shot? There's questions about it, but Cuba is like a thing that comes up a lot. It goes family, it goes sightings, and then Tretch, who, here's the thing, I don't think he had any desire to actually like help these dudes do stuff. It didn't feel staged at all. It felt very like red carpet, walking away, cameras are off. I can say this to a radio host dude as I'm walking away and just be like, last time I saw him, he was in Cuba, and like keep it real.
That's a wild thing to say under any circumstances, though. Like if you actually know that, you're telling that to you're not telling that to anyone, much less this dude who you're just doing an interview with, who you suspected of filming you a second ago.
The interesting part about it, though, is that when asked about it in like follow-up interviews, Tretch basically is just like, he just changes subjects. Like he's basically like, he goes away from it regularly. He said some things like, he said things in follow-up interviews similar to, if Pac was alive, I wouldn't tell you anyway. Like trying to be like a little bit kind of in the wind about it, I guess.
I mean, Cuba would make sense too in terms of their relationship with the U.S. at the time of like, there was no communication between the U.S. and Cuba at that time. You're not getting extradited back to the U.S. Like you could probably hide out for as long as you needed to, I would guess.
And then you have British security guards named Michael Nice who say that they were part of the group that helped fly a private plane to Barbados that had Pac on board, and that his brother, a security agent, then helped get Tupac from Barbados to Cuba to send him off into retirement. Now, here's what I think. We should probably get around to, hey man, what do you think?
Guess what happened?
Guess what happened?
It's about that time.
Pac died.
Okay.
I think that's what happened.
Who killed him?
I think Orlando Anderson killed him because he got pissed that he got jumped and was like, not today and not here. I don't think Biggie had anything to do with it. I think it was an altercation. I believe there was potentially a hit out, maybe from Diddy. I don't know.
I was 100% with you until like this morning.
Word?
Yeah. There's and I'm not saying I'm convinced otherwise, I didn't think there was like any chance, or there was like a less than 1% chance that something weird happened.
Yep.
Until like earlier today.
For what it's worth.
I think there's enough weird stuff around this case that like I would be open to other possibilities.
So that, for what it's worth, that's where I was heading with that, was like, I think that's probably what happened, but I'm not convinced that's what happened. There's too many things that point in the same direction, just slightly. Like, you know how long it would take to figure out where you could go to get cremated, where you could get on a private plane and get healthy enough to fly on it to get the fuck out of town? Probably about a week, probably about 6 days.
So, yeah. And then like there's stuff in his music too that's kind of weird. And we didn't get into any of that. And now we don't really have time to. Maybe we can continue on the Patreon or something. But
yeah,
he was very into, there's the whole Machiavelli connection. And like in the album, in the liner notes or the album artwork for Don Cluminati, he's talking about him being Jesus and being resurrected after 7 days.
Yep.
And talking about Tupac is dead, but Machiavelli is born.
Yep.
So sort of this like alternate or like alter ego, alternate personality thing.
Yep.
There's a quote that's often attributed to Machiavelli that I couldn't find today. I couldn't source anywhere from any of his writings about basically, I forget how the quote is supposed to go, but something about like fake your death to fool your enemies.
Yeah.
I can't find that direct quote anywhere or anything like especially close to it, unfortunately.
He's also extremely famous for a phrase from the Prince, which is the ends justify the means. That's like a common cultural saying that we have, but the ends justify the means would be a really good way to explain how you would fool your family and friends.
The one quote, just back on the Machiavelli thing for 1 second, is sometimes, this is a quote from the Prince, I believe. Sometimes it has been of great moment while the fight is going on to disseminate words that pronounce the enemy's captain to be dead or to have been conquered by another part of the army. Many times this has given victory to him who used it. So I think that's probably like that quote probably got paraphrased down to that. The
I can see that
thing. Also, Pac released 7 albums after he died.
Yep.
The number 7 being sort of interesting, but also that's like way more music than he released when he was alive.
Yes.
Which seems weird that you would have been working at a like album a year pace while you were alive and then but also have 7 full records stashed.
He put out a music video 2 days after he died that shows him walking out of a hotel with a friend and getting shot by a man with a pistol and then rapping the rest of the song from heaven. Like that would have had to been well in the can before this event happened.
There's just enough weirdness for me to think like
maybe something's up.
Maybe, yeah.
I also think there's something to be said for, you know, what if you faked your own death? It's one thing to think that the actual shooting and the altercation and everything about it was staged. There's another thing to say getting shot in a drive-by shooting scared Pac so much that he was like, fuck all of this. Fuck this shit. I'm out. He was getting death threats on a regular basis. He'd had legal problems in the U.S. Like,
unfortunately, if it didn't happen then, it was probably going to happen eventually.
And I'm
sure he was very aware of that.
For sure. And I think like if I'm gonna indulge a version of this, that's the version I indulge, that he was like brought so close to death by 4 shots to the body after a fucking like clubbing night one night that he was like, nah, dude, I'm getting out of this with my head held high and my blood in my body. And he took 4 days,
a whole lot of money,
and a whole lot of money.
He would have had the means to do any of that shit also.
100%. And there's also,
especially if Suge was involved.
Right. And Tretch also in an interview later on, somebody asked him about it and he said something to the effect of like, shit, man, like Pac was a crafty character. He could have done anything he wanted in this world. And I think that was his way of being like, he was a creative enough dude. And like what I'm trying to communicate is I don't think he was creative enough to stage a brawl, stage a drive-by, stage a hospital run, like that would have been such a massive conspiracy and cover-up with ambulance drivers and hospital workers and all these things. But the version of it I can definitely bite onto is you're about to be discharged and instead you basically like get
disappear.
out. Yeah, you disappear late at night one night and you
pay
go
off a couple people to say that they did something they didn't.
Sign a death certificate. Yeah. You burned a body. I mean, we know Suge has killed people. Maybe Suge was like, I get you a body anytime. Let me know.
Well, or there isn't one. I mean, no one can attest to that other than the dude that Suge says he paid off.
Or there isn't one. I'm just getting to the point about the 215-pound, 6-foot version of Tupac. Like, maybe that's a different dead guy that they burned, and that was, part of who did the thing. And maybe Afeni shows up and says, yep, that's my son. And it's super not. It's somebody else, some rando that they found. And he goes, cool, sounds good to me. Do the measurements, do the autopsy, put him in the fire, and we're done here. So, like, that's the version I can buy more than anything is him going, that was fucking scary, and I was this close to death, and I'm getting out of this game with my life.
Yeah.
And I'm going to Cuba where my godmother lives and knows how to avoid the government and avoid people and avoid being found and arrested.
The government has said they're just not going to deal with Cuba.
Right. Like, that to me is what I buy or can buy. I don't know if that's my, like, that's what happened, but that's what I can buy.
God damn!
Yeah, babies.
And also,
We out of here!
We out of here. Hey, if you want to leave one of those voicemails you heard at the beginning of the show, 612-246-4614. Send us an email. Oh, one quick thing before we go. We're giving away stickers. It's cool. We got a bunch of bright orange big what if stickers.
Bro, this is a horrible idea unless you're mailing these.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. All right. I'm taking it. We're doing it. Here's the deal. All you got to do is give us a review on iTunes, send us a screenshot of your review, and email it to hi@whatifpodcast.com with your address.
I'm going to save Ryan since he's not saving himself. This only applies if you live in the United States.
Yes, thank you. This only applies if you live in the United States. But we'll send you a sticker for the show if you just take a screenshot of your iTunes review and email it to us with your address. We'll send you a sticker. Thank you guys for supporting the show. We love you as always. See you next week.
Listen, you wee bastards. Life's too short to be messing around. You need to live your life. Enjoy your time here on planet Earth.